Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to European Challenger Spring Playoffs. It's time for the third and final fight between Cloud9 Eclipse and DNL eSports. The next team to knock out a Nexus will advance to Friday's finals and, more importantly, lock in a spot in the summer promotion tournament, while the loser will be fighting for their LCS dreams in the third place game.
I think if we look at both of these games, you have to highlight Ko. Game 1 on, I forget what he was, Lee Sin, thank you, goes 3-1-7. He controlled the map, he was in everybody's faces, he had incredibly deep wards that allowed Cloud9 to rotate and completely control Denial. Game 2 in Master Yi, maybe a bit of bravado, maybe wanting to say, I can play it better than Kikis can, goes 3-7-2. And had very little impact. I was not particularly blown away by his positioning. 1 or 2 moments were good, but I feel like he needs to have an impact, especially during the laning phase, for Cloud9 to get an advantage.
So, we're coming into Champion Select here very shortly. Let's have a look at the bans here once again. We said, Ryze, is he more scary than Mundo? I think he is.
I think he's a threat. I think he's more of a kill threat. You know, Mundo will draw attention. Mundo will go where he pleases, and you may not be able to focus him down. But if you can get past Mundo and kill the squishies, Mundo's way less of a threat. On the other side of the coin, Ryze is always going to have the potential to 1v1, 1v2 even in some situations, especially if he gets ahead early.
Yeah, and we saw there the damage that Ryze was doing. And if you think about it, they built Evelynn more tanky to help with that earlier squishiness maybe that you'd say that Ryze got. But by the end, they're both tanky and they've both got good damage as well. You have to wonder if they bring Mundo into the top lane, with the amount of jungle bans that we've got coming in here, what's he going to go for?
I have no idea at this point. I mean, we've been seeing the new champions. We've seen Lee, we've seen Yi, and Evelynn. So Yi's the only new one. We have not seen the likes of Pantheon, the likes of Wukong, which is something that both of these junglers have played. They are a bit more situational, maybe less top tier than the 3 that we've listed so far. I do, however, feel that the champions, they may have had a part to play in that previous game, but on the same token, I do heavily believe that Cloud9's execution, once they had their lead, was lacking. I think they didn't have enough vision, they didn't have enough map awareness when you're dealing with 2 champions of stealth. Evelynn, as well as Twitch, jumped on Cloud9 so many times. That's how they got to it back in the game. Had there been more wards, had there been more vision on the map, you could theorize that those jumps could have been turned around. Those jumps may never have happened, which means the lead may never have been given back to Denial. So in my mind, I do feel that there was not enough importance on wards in the second game of the series.
So, and I'm also wondering if Twitch is a possible ban here. I mean, game number 1, nah, didn't do anything. Yeah. Game number 2, though, was such a big champion for them in that team. We're going to find out here, though, because we are live in picks and bans, but looks like they're going to stick to their old favorite first ban of Morgana, which almost certainly means that Voidle is going to be looking for Leona.
So the one thing you've also got to remember, and it's something you touched on in game 1, with the Morgana taken away, Cloud9 have the option to just go heavy engage. It's probably the best heavy engage counter to heavy engage. That's the word I'm looking for. Because once you jump in, that Soul Shackles just locks you up. If Cloud9 go for the same style of gameplay, you could theorize banning Twitch might be a smart idea. Get rid of that AoE, get rid of the champion that melts absolutely everybody. I don't know if they're going to agree with us, though. We'll have to see how the final ban plays out.
No, they're not going to agree with us. Mundo going to be taken away by Cloud9 once again. So they don't want to play against Mundo. Seems like they're happy to have Ryze in there. Possibly could be a third and final ban. We have seen that the Kha'Zix, of course, was taken away. Ko is not going to get that. LeBlanc, again, not going to go on towards Febiven.
So we are 2 for 2 as far as game 2 bans are concerned. Both teams sitting with the exact same strategies. In the previous game, it was Nidalee that was banned out by Cloud9 Eclipse. On game 1, when they were blue side, they banned these exact 2 champions, the Ziggs, the Mundo, and the Morgana, and they first picked Nidalee. There is the possibility Cloud9 are trying to recreate that scenario so they can get Nidalee in the hands of Febiven. He did a very good job with him. Performed well in lane. It was up against a Lulu who was not great in the laning phase thanks to the changes to health picks, etc. But at the end of the day, it does look like the exact plan.
So Ziggs is going to go from that one. Just waiting for that final ban to come in. Lee Sin taken away by Denial, so they don't want Ko on Lee Sin again. First pick is Nidalee. Saw it in game number 1. Febiven nailing everyone with those spears. He's going to have the chance to do that again. Are they going to pick Yi and Ryze? This is actually exactly the same order as game 1.
Yeah, so Lucian, Leona. Let's see if they're going to recreate game 1 for us. They haven't been locked in yet, but this is the exact pick and ban phase that we've seen from game 1 with one small exception. Evelyn was the ban in place of Lee Sin. So that is the only change on the side of Denial. If Evelyn is locked in here for Coup, you know, it's going to be the same champions, and we'll see. Denial still haven't locked it in, so let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, still got a good 10 or so seconds to pick up here. I'd be happier for them if we see the Thresh earlier on.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure that Voidle would end up going for Thresh. I think he's very much set on Leona at this stage. But they do take the Thresh. Was a good, solid pick for Super A's last time. They go for Yi again in the jungle. And it looks like Cloud9 Eclipse might try and take the Ryze away.
So it's going to be more pressure for Kikis this time around. He's seen Yi in both of the games, has been able to get his mind around the playstyle. I liked his late game Evelyn in the previous series. He had good engages. I do think he got off some very good agonies and braces. I did not like his early positioning on either game 1 or game 2. And on a champion like Yi, who you want to get snowballing, you want to get ahead, you can't afford to get shut down. So we need to pay very close attention to how Kikis positions and where he moves around the jungle. Because if that Evelyn is locked in for Cloud9, there is the threat of counter jungling, the same threat of the loss of control that we've seen from game 1.
So, other side here for Denial. Jax, we talk about champions that need to get rolling, but if they get rolling, they're very scary. He fits that mold. Jarvan.
I think an AD carry. AD carry and, you know, tanky top laner would be an option here for Denial. Save your mid till counter pick, or go all in and lock in that Fizz. Wait for it to run down. That's a very big change. This is a very, very big change. What I like and what I dislike about this. Sorry to interrupt, Joe. Right, Fizz,
I wasn't
first of
talking.
all.
You were still talking.
Great assassin, great mobility. It's going to allow you to get away from both Leona, from Ryze. You're not really at threat of being caught out by those javelin tosses as long as you position correctly with your playful trickster. What I really like about the lock-in, there's not too many champions that can get over the wall of the Cataclysm right now. So if you lock people into the Cataclysm with the Master Yi, and in theory, let's pretend he's ahead, that's a death zone. People are going to die in that thing. If you lock them in with Chum the Waters underneath on a champion, it's going to hit multiple targets. So I like some of the theory crafting, but this is a super high risk, high reward. Because if those engages don't work, all that's going to happen is you're going to land screaming Demacia and then die on your flag. Because if you are not ahead and you are not able to survive the engage, Cloud9 Eclipse are just going to melt you.
What are Cloud9 going to finish off with here? Sivir and Zhao. We've been hearing again. We talk about the whole item changes have allowed these on-hit junglers to be so very strong. Zhao definitely fitting into that one. And we're going to see Sivir coming out for Hjarnan as well. What are they going to finish off their lineup with here? Don't think it's Sona with Thresh already down.
So before we get to the last pick here for Denial, Cloud9's lock-in of Zhao in the jungle, I think is super smart because Jarvan, Fizz, and Yi are all melee champions that want to be in your face. Xin kicks all of them away. Whoever is auto attack doesn't get kicked away, but that's fine because you can focus him and kill him. The key for Ko is to make sure he doesn't pop that crescent sweep early. He needs to save it to the right time. He needs to save either Odoamne on Ryze or Hjarnan on Sivir. And thanks to the mobility that all of the champions get, that's a very mobile Nidalee with Pounce. You've got Ryze with a speed boost increase. You've got Xin that can dash and dive. And you have Sivir boosting everybody up. I think Cloud9 have got a lot of tools to engage, to counter-engage, to kite, to run, or to fight. So we'll have to see if they can execute it.
So final pick here for Denial was Twitch. We've had 2 games already with Twitch. One's been definitely a hit. One's been definitely a miss, I think we can safely say. Interested to see whether it's hit or miss Twitch this time around.
I don't actually like the Twitch in this composition because of how many dashes and mobility and movement speed increases there are for Cloud9 Eclipse. Once Cloud9 engage, they can reposition within the fight fairly effectively. And thanks to the mobility that Sivir's going to offer, I think the possibility of finding a good spray and pray is going to be much more difficult. What I do have to admit, though, is Woolite played very good ganks, played very good stealth, surprise Twitch. And you can do that fairly effectively against Cloud9 if you can get ahead. But again, this is all on Denial. Get ahead, you've got a high risk, high reward composition, and we need to see if they can execute it.
What do we think to Jarvan top lane, specifically for this one, because it is something that we are definitely not used to seeing on a regular basis?
I wouldn't say... it's longer than that. I mean, okay. Jarvan top lane, Probably, I think, Summer Split last year, we've seen one of them and not very impressed. We did see Jarvan Jungle over in North America. Also, not particularly impressed. I believe it was Dexter that ran that one. But it was because there was a lot of jungles banned out and there wasn't much left.
And you can't say over in North America anymore, by the way. We're
in North America. Right, correct. Thank you for reminding me. This game against a Ryze, I think there is kill potential if you have roams from mid lane and from jungle. If we see Kikis coming in with Yi, a good flag and drag, knocking up Ryze and then locking in place with a Cataclysm, that's going to be a dead spellcaster. Don't land your knock-up, don't land your Cataclysm, or fall behind before you hit level 6. I think Ryze is going to outscale you. He's going to offer more threat. I'm not sure. But I think kill lane, if they can get kills, great. You can buy damage. You can keep killing them. But if they don't punish early, I much prefer Cloud9's options and ability to scale in the late game because they have tools to counter everything Denial wants to do.
Well, here we go. It's game number 3, the third and final game of this best of 3. There was a lot of 3s in that one, but either way, it's going to be deciding who goes into the final and who has to play that third place tie-off breaker tomorrow to figure out who's going to take the last spot into LCS promotion. Cloud9 this time looking like they're going to try something funky of their own.
Now, what Cloud9 are doing are setting up for the traditional Denial invade. Games 1 and 2, Denial grouped up as a 5-man, and they pushed their opponent's Tribush. If they had done that this time and taken the bait of going in for Voidle, they would be finding a bunch more Cloud9 members. I think very wise play from Denial to not repeat the same strat that they've done 2 games in a row. In addition, I don't think their level 1 would be particularly mind-blowing. So, smart play by Denial and Cloud9. They'd read the strat previously, tried to get something from it, doesn't work out.
Well, where are Cloud9 going to go with this? Will they actually try and get up there towards that blue buff? See that Babunia on Jarvan is on the top side of the map, so he's not within any kind of range. He's actually Flash Ignite, by the way, just keep track of that one. And that means that he can't be teleporting around the map. We only see one summoner heal this time around as well with Hjarnan on Sivir.
Yeah, so we've seen that Woolite has run that cleanse a few times. And there is lockup, and I think against a Ryze and a Leona, it's even more important now. The Rune Prison, as well as that Solar Flare, etc., you want to be able to get away and reposition. But I do think there's going to be more emphasis on Woolite surprising Cloud9 with a good ambush attack, rather than looking for a big 5-man spray and pray, which is very, very imperative. And as you touched on, Ko on Zhao, that on hit. We are expecting him to go Feral Flare. We're also expecting Kikis to go Wriggles towards Feral Flare. So we'll just have to keep our eyes on those stacks and how effectively or how quickly they can get up to them. Ko got Feral Flare on his Yi at about 17 minutes in game 2. So let's call that our benchmark.
Yeah. Well, it has to be because Kikis didn't get to in game number 1. We'll see if we can do that better this time around. Now, mid lane, this time around is going to be Nidalee versus Fizz, and top lane, Ryze versus Jarvan. Definitely a long time since you've seen any lane like this one up on the top side of the map. And interested to see how Babunia really plays this one, especially considering if you look down his played champions, he goes towards these more traditional tanky types.
Now, transitioning to the Ryze, it does have a different style of play, especially in the team fights. You know, one of the things that we've noticed in LCS Ryze players, you can do well in lane, but it's your timing and your positioning in team fights that really matters. Yes, you do build tanky, yes, you do want to be in the thick of it, but you don't want to be overcommitted. You don't want to be too deep that you can get zoned out. And I think that's also a counter to how you like to play those tanks. So Odoamne, you know, he's going to have some experience with that, and we'll see how it transitions. As it stands, he's playing very defensive early on, not using those ranged auto attacks to try and punish Babunia just yet. And he's actually being poked out a little bit by those Demacian standards.
Yep, doing well here. Here's Babunia. Has missed a couple of CS under there. That's pretty much my criticism of him so far, but doing well in that lane. We see Febiven here pushing Nick onto his own turret here, and with this wave should actually level up the levels and the XP from this one. So that Febiven is already level 4. And Nick catching a couple of spears. There is a level 4. He was coming around the side there.
Yeah, at this point, Nick has eaten far too many spears. Ideally, when you're playing a Fizz, once you do hit level 2, level 3, level 4, you actually want to try and get some poke, like he's going for now. try to get some lane dominance. The problem is, Febiven's just going to heal it back up. So we do see Babunia, maybe first blooded.
Oh, this is bad news for him. He does have his flash available, but he's not going to get to use it. Knocked up, prison. That's the one, my gosh. That's 1-0 first blood.
Yeah, that prison rune from Odoamne, very well played. And long story short, Babunia pushed the lane. I would dare say Odoamne baited him in. Nick has jumped back on Febiven again, trying to force him to burn through his mana and heal back up. But Nick is just trying to survive, I think, to level 6. He's actually doing well in CS against a ranged opponent with great damage, who can really force you away as that melee mid laner.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, in that mid lane, you've definitely got to avoid Fizz.
Yeah, at this point in time, Febiven definitely needs to do that one. We will need to check back in that lane once they hit level 6, because I think that's the kill threat. We haven't seen too much of that Hjarnan, Voidle, Sivir, Leona lane. CS, small advantage over on the side of Woolite. And basically, once these champions hit level 6, I think the kill threat is on the side of Cloud9 Eclipse. And the kill threat right now is looking at Babunia. I'm not sure if they're going to tower dive. It would be very, very brave if they wanted to tower dive at level 5.
Tower dive a Jarvan that can knock you up in the air. But there is a Rune Prison once again. They are going to tower dive. There is a knock-up, but this time Babunia got his flash off. Ko actually going very, very low, but he was scared to chase. It might not matter, though. Kikis is coming around the side. They're going to try and put as much damage as they can onto the both of them. Ko is still waiting off to the side. They turn it around, but there's the Alpha Strike. Kikis gets the kill onto Ko. Odoamne is now going to chase down Babunia. Switches off to Kikis. Babunia comes back around. Babunia, is he going to fall? Yes, he will. Has he got the damage for Kikis as well? No! Alpha Strike comes off cooldown, and that is 2 for 2.
So 2 for 2, but if you look at the kills, I think it's gone to probably the most valuable members within those trades. Yi wants to be getting closer to that Wriggles and Feral Flare. He wants to be stacking up to get that ability stacking earlier. On the other side of the coin, Odoamne on a Ryze needs to get that tier stacked as quickly as possible, as well as getting his Rod of Ages. It's going to come down to who can make better use of those kills. Assuming Kikis can get this Wriggles to a Feral Flare and gank more lanes, I think he has more option to impact the rest of the game.
And that was the ulti actually thrown out there by Nick onto Febiven, who going very, very low. Actually, Zhao did have to come across there to give him a little bit of help. This bottom lane, once again, Super Ace playing the zoning game. As Voidle hits level 5, will they think about getting involved? The CS there is very much in favor of Woolite, doing a good job in laning phase again.
Yeah, and that's, again, entirely due to Voidle playing Leona. Being on that melee champion, you just don't have that presence in the early stages of the game. I actually think Hjarnan's doing pretty well. We do see an engage that they call Woolite and Super Ace, but Ko's a little bit late to this party, so he can't have any real impacts.
Yeah, spotted by the ward there as well in that river brush, so they weren't in really any danger from that one. Voidle actually stepping forward here, needs to be a little bit wary that he doesn't get hooked in, but shouldn't be too much of a big deal for him. Nick here coming down, will be claiming his first blue buff of the game and headed straight back to that mid lane where he's currently a little bit of CS in front, but has been doing some good damage so far.
It's actually nice to see Nick playing an assassin and actually playing pretty well. He's gone even in the laning phase. He's now got that threat of kill, the ability to kill Febiven, getting closer to that point. What I like is the fact that Febiven's the player that we came into this expecting to be playing the assassins, expecting to see the LeBlancs, the Zeds, maybe a Riven. But he hasn't. He has been playing the sort of safer picks, the Nidalee, the Soraka, and it's actually Nick that has pulled out the more interesting picks. You can argue about the effectiveness of that Lulu and if it should have been picked, but at the end of the day, they are in the third and final game, and he's playing Fizz right now, which is a much more aggressive, much more playmaking champion.
And we see that the red side of Denial headed up towards the top lane, but blue buff has spawned here. They're going to try and control both of them.
Yeah, if the Javelin toss lands, might steal. Oh, smite it away. Smart play. What I would have liked to have seen is Nick and Kikis trying to roam top. They've caught Odoamne.
They're going to go in for Odoamne here. That's a lot of damage coming in. Kikis will pick up the kill. Well, here comes Ko from the side. Kikis goes low, and there is, in fact, the shutdown. And that will end in a 1-for-1. And they try to back away from things. Ko getting the double buffs from that. Actually going in towards Nick here. Actually using that playful tricks and will get himself back to the tower.
So Babunia did rotate down when Odoamne left the lane. What I do like, though, is you notice how both Nick and Kikis roamed around. Nick's been jumped on again.
And Ko actually may just decide to dive this one now. A little bit dangerous under the turret with that Fizz.
Now, during the build-up to this game, we talked about how if you can shut Ryze down with some good roams and rotations by both Kikis and Nick, that would be a good way to get this composition an advantage. Babunia, very cheeky flag and drag, just to interrupt Odoamne. He needed to have come down the river. If Jarvan had been with the rest of his team after that blue buff steal, they may have been able to turn that fight around and probably held on to their own red buff. So they end up trading buffs, but it's Febiven that's come off worse for wear because he doesn't have blue buff, which is very, very important. The moment Nick goes in, you need to use that mana to heal out.
They did, however, steal the red buff away. Was able to secure that one for the team, and he's right now doing even more of that work as he goes for the Wraith camp. We'll take away that big Wraith and be happy with what he's got there. Meanwhile, Kikis hanging around by top, but Odoamne may not be in trouble there, but the bottom lane sure is. Super Ace in the middle of nowhere is going to get finished off. Did land the hook there right at the very last second, and now Woolite's going to try and escape. I think they've given up anyway, knowing that he could just invis himself out. Yeah,
both of the top laners have also got jungle support now, so it looks like Kikis was expecting a dive. He's been waiting for longer than Ko has. Ko is now going to find Master Yi, and they're going at it.
This could be very dangerous. Alpha Strike comes into that one. They're going to turn around back on towards Kikis. Get the kill. Has Babunia got the damage? He gets knocked up. Where is the Dragon Cross? He doesn't need it. Babunia will fall anyway. And that is a 2-for-1 and a double kill for Zhao.
I do not think Babunia had enough mana to get a full combo off. He didn't throw down the Cataclysm. It's there. It's available. And it didn't work out for him. Now, Nick, he's picked himself up the first Ether Wisp of 4.5 here in the European Challenger Series playoffs. And it is, of course, one of the new items that we've seen picked up. Movement speed, as well as some ability power. And it's also, in conjunction with that Sheen, going to be upgraded to a Lich Bane. Interesting to see Nick going for a Lich Bane as his first item. It is, of course, core on Fizz, but it has been reduced in damage at these early levels. And you tend to see Lich Banes built after a big amount of ability power. So Nick putting some priority on the on-hit effect, as well as the movement speed that it gives you over raw ability power right now.
Yeah, and I think that's been really the question about Fizz now. Is he still strong enough at this level again with the changes to that Lich Bane? And, well, he's trying to prove the critics wrong on this one. He is slightly falling behind now in that lane, but we can see constant harassment. Febiven just having to jump away every single time Nick goes onto it.
So I think Nick has actually played fairly well in the laning phase. Although he hasn't actually got any kills right now, he did move for a blue buff steal. He has been containing Febiven, I think is a good way to put it. What we need to see from Nick is actually kills. If he doesn't start blowing people up with his assassin, then why did you pick the assassin? That's the question that needs to be answered. In addition, Babunia's Jarvan, 1-3-2. I don't know what the theory is from their side. Maybe they wanted the Cataclysm, but it wasn't used previously. Babunia has been forced away and pushed back from Odoamne. He's 20 CS down, and Ryze is already getting to a very powerful point in the game.
Let's see there. The Zenith blade is going to cash on towards Woolite. They're going to go hell in for this one. Is he going to get taken down? Half HP on that one. They're actually changing up to Super Ace, and they pick up the kill nicely. Going get in the right place at the right time. Meanwhile, Odoamne and Babunia going head to head. Who's got the most damage? Neither of them. They just both turn around.
That was actually good. Now, we did see Odoamne. He had used his Cataclysm, so in that full trade, he was able to keep Odoamne down, but it wasn't enough to secure the kill. Now, Kikis, he's dead.
That was unfortunate for him, but also I think a mistake from his side of things. There was a ward inside of that tri-bush. As he comes around, they spot him. They're going to lose a buff as well. 3
games in a row that we've looked in the first 15 minutes of the game and said, wonder why Kikis was there. I feel like this early game laning phase of the game is probably one of Kikis' weaknesses. He has been caught out both in Yi and Evelyn, but he has had superior positioning once the game has transitioned to the later stages and more team map-wide rotations. But at the end of the day, they've lost a tower, they've lost a dragon and the blue buff, and they have not caught Hjarnan either.
Nope, because he's got a spell shield, which he pops on there just to stop the knock-up. Chum the Waters coming in, and they take the dragon. They had the blue buff away. Babunia actually going aggressive here on towards Odoamne, but he just returns that damage. Actually used his ultimate in there as well, and he can deal with his Jarvan at this point. There's no real threat for him.
Yeah, assuming both of those champions have got mana pools to work with, there's definitely available. Chum the Waters is not up for Nick, so that's why Febiven's going in super deep right now. And again, it's just been Cloud9 getting small leads here and there. And over the last 13 minutes, they've built themselves up close to 4,000 gold lead, which is a very, very strong start to the game.
Continuing to push down on this bottom lane, and that could be dangerous. Oh, that was great timing on the Lantern. some may say a little bit lucky timing on it, and here comes the solar flare. After praising them, they may just throw this one all the way. Woolite going very, very low. Again, Super Ace will be closer. Another Zenith Blade lands. There come the attacks from the back of Hjarnan. They're going to have to dive this one. Voidle's tanking up the damage, but they're going to go through. Is Hjarnan going to try and get in on towards Switch? He's gone a little bit too low there from that tower. They have to recall out of this.
Super low, super squishy, and tower diving, they get away clean every single time. Ko has come to this bottom lane. They have found a kill onto Super Ace. He keeps saying overextended. Even though that Lantern was pretty good, you know, managing to pull him away, all it actually did is set Woolite up in trouble. You know the Lantern's no longer available. You know that Twitch is, you know, out of position and arguably even easier to lock down. And straight up to Super Ace gets run down. Hjarnan gets enough mana for that on the hunt and manages to close it out.
Dangerously low. Twitch was incredibly low there as well at the back, but Cloud9, look at their gold lead once again, starting to build up. 4,000 is the advantage that they are currently sat on. Now, if we think back, what happened last time this happened? Actually, Kikis, is he going to fall from this one? Use the meditate there under the tower. He's going to come back in. Ko gets the kill. Nick's being knocked up under the turret. He loses the focus, gets the kill as well. That was a great flash from Nick.
Managed to protect all of the HP on that turret. Goes in 1v2, and Ko comes out with a kill. He's 6-3-3 right now. Got that Hex Drinker, Brutalizer, and starting to get stacks on Feral Flare. You've got to remember, he's got damage, but he's as weak as a piece of paper. There's no armor and magic resist on him. He's relying on just MR boots, which is going to do nothing against Ko on Zhao. Very, very smart play from Ko. He knows how much damage he has and whether or not he can get those kills. So in the replay, manages to dash up, and that's just instant burst onto Kikis. I think had Nick been knocked a little further down the lane, and if Ko had maybe 1 second longer, that may have been even you know, a different play. May have been able to get away, but unfortunately, as Nick actually hit the wall, he didn't go as far away from Ko as Ko was hoping.
Yeah, lost that tower aggro, which I think that turret would have killed him there as well. This top lane has been fairly quiet. We've seen the odd exchange between the two of them. Bottom is a different matter, though, as we are going to see a flay coming in. Hjarnan was trying to finish off the turret there. They may have to back away from it. Voidle does have his ultimate available should he want to go in. Meanwhile, Ko is going to be found in the middle of the jungle here by Kikis. Nick is there as well. Here comes Babunia over the top, and there is a Cataclysm, but Ko jumps away from it. They pick up 1 kill. Can they get Babunia as well? Febiven got the damage. Odoamne's got the CC to keep him locked in position, and that will be a double for Nidalee.
1 for 2, and we'll see if Febiven, he finds the turret, doesn't kill. It's not over yet.
It's not over yet. He could land 1 more spear here, and not quite. I actually saw the turret message pop up, which made me think that spear did enough damage to get the kill, so I'll just apologize for getting excited there.
Good accuracy from Febiven and very good rotations from Cloud9. When Ko is playing aggressive and inside Denial's jungle, it seems as though Cloud9 find this level of communication and this ability to roam around. In game 1, Cloud9 completely controlled Denial's jungle, and every time there was a potential engage, multiple members of Cloud9 collapsed on the area and won the trade. They did exactly the same thing there. Ko invades, gets a little bit caught out, Odoamne gets there, but it's not so late that it's a problem, and Cloud9 come with multiple kills. They get the top tower, they get the bottom tower, and I think they got the red buff as well.
Little bit of deja vu. Aside from the more kills that Denial have got in this game, if you look at the goal, it's getting larger and larger and larger. 3-0 in turrets. See there, Nick? Struggling so far in this game, I think we can safely say. And again, Fabian got his hands again on Nidalee this time around after having it been banned out in game number 2. It's 3-0-1, but again, it's cool. He's the impact player, and we have to bear in mind that Ko was actually out of this team for the second season of the Challenger here, and their old jungle they brought in, IHazBall, just didn't work out for them. They got knocked out against Denial. They lost 2-0 in that one. And you can see that this is Cloud9 Eclipse as a whole here. This is the team that the LCS players in Europe were raving about and saying these are the real dangers along with ninjas in pajamas.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And at this point in time, the thing that Cloud9 needs to actually work on is making sure that their solo laners can look to create those opportunities, because the moment Ko has a little bit of an off game, like we've seen in game 2, you see how different it is. We do see on the hunt, and here comes Hjarnan. He's going to at least not going to be able to catch onto Kikis, but Cloud9, as we talked about, they have controlled Denial's jungle. And because there's Feral Flare on Ko, he's actually going to gain much more of an advantage. Going to get those stacks, or Wriggles working towards Feral Flare. He's going to get those stacks much quicker, much sooner, and have all of that bonus damage. The only reason we keep harping on about it is we've seen it in every single game of the day so far, in at least one of the two junglers.
You can see Babunia diving in there. I'm not sure that's the wisest idea, though. Here comes a blast from Ryze. One more should do it. Can he get the finisher? There's a Cataclysm, but he's got a flash. He jumps straight out of it. 1v1. Jarvan's not having the impact that they wanted the Jarvan to have. Now they find Fizz inside of the jungle. Ko's going to get knocked up there, and he gets away with a Thresh Lantern.
If you are going to pick a Jarvan in a high-stakes game like this, you need to land your flag and drags. When we see that engage in the top lane, Babunia did not knock Odoamne up. Odoamne easily sidestepped it. We do see the rest of Denial being collapsed upon and chased away. That's a big knock-up onto Kikis, and in the 5v4, Denial can't defend their top inner turrets.
Ko is incredibly scary right now. Woolite actually coming to the front of this one. Lantern goes down in preparation, but they've got the job done that they wanted to do there in that top lane, which is get rid of the turret and back away.
In stark contrast to the previous game, you notice there that Woolite came up stealth, tried to kill Voidle on Leona. In game 2, he succeeded. It allowed his team to get multiple more kills and then towers. In this game, he barely scratched Voidle because he's only got that Bloodthirst and the Zeal. 0-0-0 on Twitch. He hasn't been involved. Death Sentence doesn't connect, and I think Denial are a little bit late.
And Ko's like, no, I'm going to smite this one down without any problems. Babunia going to go into the middle of them. Are they going to fight this one? They're going to go for Woolite at the back. He uses his cleanse. Super Ace is going to go low. Odoamne is low as well, though. There is Twitch knocked out of the fight. Ko doing good damage there at the back, but they need to finish off. They come in from the other side. 3 men are down for Cloud9 as Hjarnan flashes away. He gets the heal there thanks to Voidle, and they're going to keep chasing in from it. Actually, no, it's Summon a heal that went in, got him that one. Kikis here, caught out a little bit. That's a lot of damage coming back. They can't go under the tower here, surely. They do get the kill. It's a double in the end, and a 5-for-2. Cloud9 Eclipse, what happened?
At that point in time, Cloud9 could not focus the targets quickly enough. Just as you asked the question, we can answer it. Cloud9 on a little bit spread out. You can see Odoamne comes to the party late, and the instant cleanse from Woolite as that solar flare lands allowed Woolite to get a lot of auto attacks down. As quick as Odoamne joins the fight, he needs to leave the fight because he just took so much damage from Woolite. And because of the fact that Denial had a lot of focus on all of their other carries, Kikis cleaned up. You notice everyone else is on low HP, and Kikis is able to jump in there with 70-80% of his health, which is what allowed Denial to get all of those kills at the end of the day. Chasing a bit far, but they do get that turret, I believe, at the end of the day. So losing the dragon, get the ace, and all of a sudden Denial are going to gain some confidence from that.
That was their first turret of the game here as well, we shouldn't forget. Kikis going low there up on the top side, but won't be going low enough to be dying out from that one. Again, we see Woolite 3-0-2. He was the danger man in that second game of this best of 3. Looking like it's a similar scenario here.
Yes, so we just touched on the fact it was 0-0-0 before that fight happened. Got 3 kills, 2 assists. He was not focused down. And because Cloud9 did not focus him down, his damage allowed Kikis to join the fight late and win it. As all the other games, we've talked about how Kikis has had poor early laning position, but superior mid-game positioning, and that was a great example of it. He joined late enough to clean up and was at no threat of being focused down.
So back to farming here. Woolite got himself a Phantom Dancer after that 100% kill participation in that last fight. 3 of them kills, 2 of them assists as he goes charging forward with his stealth. Something that he really likes to do. If he can get away from his team but still feel safe and maybe catch someone out of position, every kill is a bonus to them at this point.
Yeah, and he managed to do that in the previous game. Now, at 23 minutes in the clock, the first jungler to secure that Feral Flare is in fact Kikis. So it is Master Yi, thanks in part to the kills that he's taken part in, as well as having some more access to his jungle. Ko had a strong phase from 10 to about 17 minutes where he was invading and controlling Denial's jungle, but Ko also got that Wriggles a lot later. It was a couple of minutes later than Denial, so it hasn't had quite as long to stack.
So once they get back into this siege scenario. This is where they become real dangerous. With that Nidalee, we've just seen Super Ace losing half of his health as they push in towards them. The hook comes flying through, doesn't land. Here comes another spear. Again, not connected, but it's enough pressure to force the turret. Jarvan is going to be coming in here from the backside. Gets a knock up onto 2. There is a Cataclysm, but they've turned this one around. They were stuck in behind it, and in the end, they can't chase through.
That's exactly what Babunia was singing. Locks in 3 members of Cloud9 Eclipse, flashes out to save his life. Unfortunately for Denial, that was their escape strategy. In the pregame, we talked about how you need to combo all of their abilities together to create a kill zone, to create a box that you can lock Cloud9 into and then just destroy them with all of the AoE from the Cataclysm, from Yee's Alpha Strikes, and from Fizz. Unfortunately, Denial are behind on gold, and they've been caught out, so that was a defensive strategy. We'll need to see if they can make it work. Febiven should go down.
I'm not sure about that one here. He's going to get knocked up. That's the death of him. Hjarnan now has to back away as well, but is he going to be able to back away? Oh, they pick off Master Yi, and this is a bit of an awkward fight. We see Denial chasing Hjarnan through the jungle right now, but the rest of the team going to come in. Nick will simply hop over the wall. Babunia going to be able to do the same, or he could try and get back towards his lane, which I think might just be too much. Oh, he tried to take the lantern, well, the knock-up came in onto him. They hook in Voidle. Are they going to go in? Flash from Odoamne to pick up the kill.
So at the end of the day, 2 for 1. Yes, Febiven did get bursted down very quickly, but some very interesting position from Cloud9. They rotated from mid to bottom lane, and they caught Kikis completely off guard. To be fair, it was a very unusual approach to that bottom lane for Cloud9, so there's not much that Denial could have done outside of having more wards. In Game 2, we talked about how poor Cloud9's vision was. Look at the litter of wards in the blue side of the jungle there for Cloud9. Great engages from Voidle, using that Zenith Blade as well as the dash from Zhao to get over the tree line. You just don't expect that. You don't anticipate when there's a fight going on further down the lane to be collapsed upon just outside your wolf camp.
Could have been one more kill there as well. Super Ace got away with very little health remaining. See that Dragon is actually coming up here in less than a minute's time as well. Pink Ward already in position there for Denial as Woolite's going to force this mid wave all the way, I say all the way back, as far back as he possibly can. But Cloud9 Eclipse, they know when this Dragon's coming into play and they want to be ready.
I really like the mobility that Cloud9 has on the side, and they're using it. Ko is trying to get onto Nick, but every time we've seen these team fights happen, the moment that Sivir, being played by Hjarnan, throws down that on the hunt, it's such a map opener. Denial, if they don't burst somebody down quickly enough, they do have the problem that they can get overrun. They are also 7,000 gold down. So look at Nick's positioning. He's trying to catch somebody out on the side, and they've actually caught Kikis instead.
Oh, Super Ace goes very, very low, but there is Fizz getting the knockups right in the middle. We see that they're falling one by one, but again, Woolite's the man in the back doing the damage. He will cleanse away, but gets finished off. A spear will finish that for them. It's a 3 for 2 in favor of Cloud9 Eclipse, and they're going to try and chase through for more. Kikis and Nick doing a run through the back. There goes the spears over the top. Nick is actually going to dive away, and I'm not sure which, if any, they're going to be able to catch here. Febiven is going to chase towards Nick, and this is going to be another kill for them. Zhao is actually going to cut him off just before that inner turret mark as Febiven dives back on towards him. Nick trying to double back in the lane, didn't work out, and that's a 4 for 2 in the end in favor of Cloud9 Eclipse.
Yeah, well played by Denial, actually. Look at this Cataclysm. We're going to keep our eye on this engage because I'm 99% sure that was a 5-man Cataclysm as every single member of Cloud9 jumps in. And look at all of those knockups and damage. Every single member of Cloud9 is caught in this little bubble. But because it was Cloud9 that got the first kill, it allowed them to control the zone. It allowed them to have more bodies and more damage focusing the right targets. Good attempt by Denial, but if they're going to go for that, they need to have Nick killing somebody instantly. If Nick is not killing somebody, that combination, they're just going to get sort of out DPS kind of by that Ryze and Zhao and Sivir.
Yeah, you saw that Zhao. As soon as he gets out, goes straight for Woolite, who you can't cleanse the knockup at the end of the day. Once he's got you in that, there's no way you're getting away from me. 7-5-10 Zhao. Also got that Randuin's in there as well. Brutalizer, got a Phage now as well, added on top of it.
What I really like about some of the itemization on the side of Cloud9 is they picked up that Frozen Heart on Odoamne, which is actually an incredibly good item on a Ryze. The reason I particularly like it as a sort of third item, which has almost been rushed, is that you've got 3 auto attackers who are all physical damage. Jarvan, Yi, and Twitch all want to be attacking. If you can reduce the number of spray and pray shots in a team fight thanks to that attack speed aura debuff, it is a very, very good position to be in. And we questioned, can Odoamne play Ryze? The answer is yes. I think he's been in the right place at the right time. He had a good lane against Jarvan. You could argue that he had a good lane because it was Jarvan, but at the end of the day, he's 50 CS up, he's got the kills he needs, he's got the items he needs, and it's probably 5 to 10 minutes earlier than anybody was expecting. Seraphs, Rod of Ages, and Frozen Hearts, that's a great place to be at 30 minutes if you're Ryze.
Wards were placed by Baron here, and when I say place, I mean by Cloud9. They've got full vision control over that section of the map, and it's going to be about getting as close as you can here from Denial, getting some wards in. Always a dangerous scenario to be in. They, of course, can use the flag here for this one as he Banshee's Veil off Babunia. Going to get popped as the rest of the team start to step forward. But again, these narrow corridors, perfect for Nidalee Spears.
Yeah, and Odoamne's got teleports. Nobody on Denial has teleports. So in order to deal with this Ryze split push, they have to commit somebody, and I don't know if anyone can deal with him. I mean, I think Nick is not going to have the damage to burst him down. Kikis is probably going to get killed as well. There's not enough magic resist on him at all. So if Babunia goes down, Babunia's been losing the whole time. Right now, Denial trying to force a fight with the Talisman of Ascension, and that was half-hearted at best.
Talisman used, on the hunt used, trade 1-for-1 on that front. Well, we see again, Odoamne continues to push up here, and Cloud9 Eclipse move straight back towards that Baron pit.
You could put an argument forward that Ryze is one of, if not the slowest tower killer in the game.
True.
Because in order to deal damage to towers, you need to build either attack damage or ability power, because your attacks to towers will scale off of the amount of ability power you have. As Ryze prioritizes neither, it takes him a very, very long time to take his towers down. So he can control the waves, but it will take him a long time to get that map advantage. They've caught Ku. Do they want this?
I'm not sure that they do. He's going to knock them all away here with his ultimate. The box does go down. Babunia catches up too, including Hjarnan. They've lost the AD carry. They pick off Ko as well, but Woolite is low. Nick is low as well. Voidle's the man at the back of that one, but they want Kikis first. They get Kikis as well. Actually, no, they don't. He managed to somehow escape from that one. Will he be able to run? That was actually a 2-for-0 in favor of Denial, but look how low they all are from this one. Both Nick and Woolite are still flashing. Cloud9 going to push.
A 2-for-1 trade, and Odoamne is untouched, as is Voidle and Febiven. Yes, they got the AD carry. Yes, they caught out the jungler. But after catching members of Cloud9 out, Denial only get 1 additional kill. It hasn't equated to any more control. Had Denial stuck around longer, or had Distortion Boost maybe been completed on Odoamne, that movement speed increase could have been enough for him to get in range sooner and have more of an impact in that fight. So, decent attempt by Denial, but they need to do a lot more of that. They need to get much more kills and ideally have it lead to objectives. There are outer turrets still available in the top and bottom lanes. Denial have barely touched them, and I think that is a good way to start bridging this 10,000 gold gap.
10,000 gold. That is a lot of gold, to be fair. Cloud9 certainly in the driving seat from this one. Only the 1 turret, as you mentioned. Babunia trying to get something on this top side, but again, Cloud9 just come towards Baron. There's on the hunt pop. Babunia could be in a lot of trouble from this one. He's going to have to turn back and flag and drag possibly through the entire team if he wants to get away from this one. He knocks Febiven up, but that only sends him towards Hjarnan and Odoamne, who pick up the kill. Now it's 5v4, 45 seconds on the spawn of Babunia. This should be Baron. Yeah, in order for Denial to get back into this game, they need to stop this Baron and get a whole bunch of kills. That is an incredibly difficult task because they have a member down. Now, Nick is who we need to keep our eyes on. Chum the Waters is probably the way in. They've got Voidle, but you don't want Voidle. No, you don't want Voidle, and they've actually used the Talisman there to start backing away. Baron well underway from this one. They throw the ulti onto Odoamne. It does nothing to him. No damage coming out. They realize they can't contest this one. Baron goes over to Cloud9 Eclipse. 12,000 gold lead now. Yeah, Cloud9 can now start sieging this game up. They've got a strong front line with Ryze and Zhao. They have Peel with the ultimates from both Zhao and Leona. So if Denial decide to try any last-ditch attempts, Cloud9 have the tools to just turn on them and re-engage. You just keep spamming out those boomerang blades and those javelins. One is bound to land at some point, and that's going to open up that inhibitor turret. Well, that's exactly what they're going to do. Waited off to the side here. All members of Denial now spawned back in. I say all members, it was only, of course, the Jarvan that did go down in that one. There's Massey trying to clear things out. they fight under turrets here? With that Cataclysm, it's always dangerous. You have to pick a wise fight.
And once again, Denial pick a composition with next to no wave clear. Now, to be fair, Cloud9 are relying heavily on Sivir for their wave clear, but they've got themselves into a lead. They're not at threat of being sieged under their turret. So Denial going to be relying on those alpha strikes from Kikis. He's doing a good job now. Let's you know, be honest about this. But at the end of the day, Cloud9 not feeling confident enough to tower dive, and they're playing this one quite safe.
They're going to take away a dragon. They're going to take away buffs, both red and blue here from the Denial jungle. Once this dragon goes down, we can see that we've got two men pushing the top lane. I imagine that Odoamne and Febiven are going to be pushing the bottom lane out as well.
Yeah, I think Cloud9 are probably sitting on a large amount of gold right now. They had those objectives to clear out, and they had the bust to steal. So there was a lot to be gained by backing away. I think once they've spent all this money, I feel like they're in a powerful enough position that they can push through towards inhibitors and potentially the Nexus. They've got such a strong ability in every area of team comps that we talk about. This Sin Zhao has gone basically full damage. Trinity Force, Hexdrinker, Feral Flare, Brutalizer, and his only defensive item is a Randuin's Omen, which is his engage tool. He wants to jump in there with his Audacious Charge, slow everybody down with Randuin's, and then allow the mobility of his team to finish up the fight. So far, it's been working for Cloud9. They've had a few fights go wonky, but for the most part, they have been in control.
And a massive gold lead is what they hold here. And 4 turrets is the advantage that they have as well. We see that a few wards have come out on the top side there and the bottom side of the jungle for Denial. They needed this control if they're to keep any kind of hold on this map and to put up any kind of defense against the Cloud9 Eclipse team that are just so far ahead of them at this point. We see more items coming in across the board. We saw how much gold everyone had to spend. Look at Sivir, Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, Nidalee, Rabadon's Deathcap, Void Staff, gonna have Azonias and got that Athene's Unholy Grail in there as well. Ryze adding more damage in as well, got a Banshee's Veil now.
So, in terms of all of the items and also looking at those Feral Flares, Kikis got the Feral Flares sooner. Oh, Woolite is so much gold. That's 1v5.
That was interesting. He was in the shop board not paying attention, so now when they've gone on towards Super A's as well, this could well be bad news. Ku is going to go into it as well. Babunia going very, very low. There is Ko right in the middle of them. The lantern is taken away, but they've gone very low. That's at least the inhibitor.
It's definitely the inhibitor. Because everybody's so low on the Denial side, it's going to take them time to heal up and get back into lane. Cloud9 have decided they want a second inhibitor before turning onto the Nexus. I wonder if they want to play this one by the numbers and force the third one instead. They've caught Nick.
They've caught Nick. He actually uses an early Zhonya's from that one, but they're going to turn right towards him. He will play full Trickster away, but they lose Thresh. They're going to lose Master Yi here as well. Babunia puts down the Cataclysm. Yi actually got away in the end of that one, but they are falling left and right, and this could well be the game. Woolite will go down. Nick goes down. It's now Kikis left on the fountain. The Nexus turret's already been focused here, but Cloud9 Eclipse are going to finish off the game, win it 2-1, move through to tomorrow's grand final, but most importantly, claim their position in the LCS Summer Promotion Tournament.
Very, very well played by Cloud9 at the end of the day. I think there are mistakes that they can look to improve upon.
Yeah.
But in both Game 1 and Game 3, when they had superior vision, when they had wards deep in the jungle of Denial, their invades and their teamwork in those invades were impeccable. I think every time they challenged for a buff, they would find kills, they would come out in a better situation and have even more vision than beforehand, which allowed them to rinse, repeat, and gain control of that. I do think Denial really need to go back to the drawing board in terms of picks and bans. Lulu mid, I'm not convinced. Kayle support, didn't work out Game 1. And Jarvan top, I don't think it was very impactful. He did okay in some scenarios, had pretty good cataclysms.
Yeah.
But if you have pretty good cataclysms and nothing else, all you've done is paint a pretty picture and mountains for your opponents to look at. That's it.
Well, the thing is that Cataclysm as well, I'd say it was one time. It was the one in that jungle.
Yeah, by the blue buff.
They couldn't really do anything about that. We actually have a replay here to just illustrate a little bit the real pushing power and how good Cloud9 were in this game.
Yeah, I think in terms of Cloud9's positioning and pushing power, they sieged when they were 100% ahead. I do think that in Game 1, they were a lot more committed to aggressive plays. Game 2, that's what cost them. And then Game 3, it was a little more wishy-washy. But you know, at the end of the day, they got the series. They are in that LCS Summer Promotion Tournament. And they will be facing either Ninjas in Pajamas or Reason tomorrow. We're going to be jumping to that semi-final in a few.
So that's the thing here in this one now. The LCS teams are looking at this very, very closely. Hi, guys. I'm sure you're watching. And wondering, who do we want to play? If we have a choice, which, of course, Millennium don't have a choice, actually, when it comes to that. But the other two will. Super Hot Crew, of course, will have second pick. And whoever finished sixth from the actual playoffs themselves will have first choice. You're looking at Cloud9 Eclipse and you're saying, no way, I don't want to play them.
So interestingly, I think Cloud9 Eclipse, from what we've seen so far, may be a consideration for a team that is confident in their strong lane. Let's say you're Super Hot Crew in this situation. You could argue they may be inclined to face off against Cloud9. And my reasoning for this is because they have pretty strong laners. Mima seldom loses his top lane. He's a very strong top laner. Mr. Rolls and Mixer are incredibly aggressive. They get more first bloods than most of the dual lanes in the league. And it was Ko that was messing up the lanes. If the laners of Super Hot Crew go into a game with that understanding, with like, right, we need to deal with Ko, we need to shut him down, and you shut him down by superior warding or by having an aggressive jungler that counter jungles him. Like you had in game 1. You know, Ko had a very little impact, game 2 rather.
Game
2. Ko had a much less of an impact. So there are weaknesses here, but it is very risky because you do need to beat them very early in the game. And if you don't get that advantage early on, I do think Cloud9 had a very strong mid game. They did have very strong rotations and better objective-based play than Denial in this particular series.
I think they're a very hard team to outban, that's for sure. Because if you look at it, you take away Kha'Zix against Ko. That's the standard ban here against Cloud9. Then you look at it and say, okay, Lee Sin played brilliant in game number 1 with Lee Sin, but then he played amazingly with Zhao. We know he can perform on Evelynn. And then if you focus him, then you've got Febiven, who we've just seen there, 2 Nidalee games where he was absolutely ripping them apart. Odoamne's Ryze, I tell you what, he didn't get it in the first 2 games, but they should have possibly focused that one because his Ryze was brilliant.
I completely agree. And I think one of the things that Cloud9 have done in this series is they have added more questions to people that watch their games or to people that will be playing against them.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how to read Odoamne's Ryze. I wasn't sure going into it. I felt Febiven was better on assassins or aggressive champions, but his Nidalee was flawless. His Soraka was okay, but I think it was more of a team thing. If you're playing Soraka, you're not really going to win the game entirely yourself. But I think anybody that wants to go into it needs to find new ways to ban them out. And if at any point you're like, okay, let's ban what they're playing now, Febiven could always pull a Riven out. Febiven could always go back to the LeBlanc, could always go back to the Zed. So, like you said, picks and bans very important. So teams will probably have to find champions that counter their play style and their proposed team strategy, I feel, would be a priority against this team.
Well, it's Ninjas in Pajamas and Reason Gaming, of course, that are going to be facing off next here to try and... I don't know. It's always a hard one because Cloud9 Eclipse, they lost to Denial here in the second split.
Yeah.
But they beat Ninjas in Pajamas in the first one. So you looked at this semi-final and said, Cloud9 are very, very good. Denial have already beat them, though, albeit with a different jungler who possibly just it didn't work out with him. We've seen how integral Ku is to this team.
Yep.
Let's not lie about that one.
Yep.
He was absolutely amazing. Now you look at Reason versus Ninjas in Pajamas. Now, NIP are an incredibly good team. They've had times where, for me, they've really, really struggled to perform. They've struggled to perform on big stages, I think, is something that's haunting them. However, they don't have quite that pressure this time because they're not technically on the big stage, but the pressure of the game is there because if you lose out here, they're going to have another season of watching from home.
I'm going to argue with you a slight tweak to your thought process. And my feelings for Ninjas in Pajamas, they have not impressed me at all when the pressure is on. They failed to qualify against KMT, they lost 3-0. They failed to win the first split of the Challenger Series against Cloud9. They lost 2-0 quite convincingly. They beat Denial handedly in the second one, and they did well when the members of Ninjas in Pajamas played in place of Gambit. Now, when you look at the 2 series, one of them they played poorly, one of them they played well. The game that they beat Denial, there was no pressure. Cloud9 were knocked out. Ninjas in Pajamas were guaranteed a spot in this playoffs. So they could play without pressure. They could play without any weight on their mind. When they were subbing for Gambit, everyone expected them to lose. There was no pressure. So they performed well. I feel like if they win this next series, they will have silenced me as a critic because now the pressure's on. Now there's a place on the line. And they haven't done it when there's something to play for since December of last year. Let's see if they can do it today.
Well, it's hard to silence him. So Ninjas in Pajamas, I wish you luck with that one. Our first semi-finals are, of course, finished. So let's check out the updated bracket. Cloud9 Eclipse, of course, are sitting in the finals, waiting for the winner of our next semi-final match with a spot in the summer promotion tournament secure.
Yeah, and even though Denial lost, they still have one more chance to win their way into the promotion tournament. If they can take third place tomorrow, they will earn that final berth and a chance to make it into the LCS.
And with those pieces of the puzzle in place, we are headed into a quick break. But when we return, we'll be passing the torch to Freak and Zyrene for our second semi-final matchup of the day. It's a best of 3 between top-seeded Ninjas in Pajamas and Reason Gaming. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. They are falling left and right, and this could well be the game. Woolite will go down. Nick goes down. It's now Kikis left on the fountain. The Nexus story's already been focused here, but Cloud9 Eclipse are going to finish off the game, win it 2-1, move through to tomorrow's grand final,